Hello, everyone. What's going on? This is the Noah Gillian Show, and I, of course, am your host, Noah Gillian. So happy you decided to join in today. Joining me on the show today is longtime contributor and assistant basketball coach at Seton Hill University, Connor Laverty. What's going on, Con? How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Good to be back. One of the best times of the year right now, March Madness. Always love talking college hoops.
That's right. That's right. It is the best time of the year for this schedule. But it is the 14th of March, 2022, a couple days before the tournament kicks off here. Actually, already underway with the first four tonight. But on today's episode, we're going to be talking about all things March Madness with the best time of the college basketball season once again upon us. But before we get into the show, however, please hit that subscribe button if you're following us on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please drop a 5-star review. It would really help the podcast grow and gain new listeners. Also, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. My handles for the show are right here in the box for YouTube. For anyone listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can find myself and Connor's handles in the description below. So without further ado, Con, let's just get right into it. So let's start. I figured we'd go region by region here and just kind of talk about some of the top seeds, some teams that we think could maybe be on upset alert. So let's start in the South where the overall number one seed resides. Let me get a quick take. Did you think Alabama deserved to be the number one overall seed?
I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't watch them enough to really have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
I know they're really, really good.
Yep.
I don't really think it matters who's the so-called number one
Overall number
Yeah,
one.
exactly. I know they're really good. They definitely have some flaws, as a lot of teams in this tournament too. I think what we're going to see as we kind of talk through this tournament is I think this is one of the most open tournaments that there's been in recent memory, at least in my opinion. I don't really know if you can pinpoint like two or three teams that like, oh, they're gonna make a deep run. It's like, I don't know, any of these teams could get knocked off on an off night. So
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same exact thing. I mean, we're watching throughout the year, and it's like every other day, it seems like the number one seed went down. It was upset city. Team after team after team is losing. And there's not many teams that came into the tournament with single digit losses. I mean, there's a decent amount in terms of, going on, but there was a lot of teams that ended up with 10, 11, 12, 13 losses that are still, high seeds. I mean, Baylor 22-10 as a 3 seed, obviously a good record, but as a 3 seed. So I wanted to get your take on that. I think Alabama, is obviously very, very loaded, especially with Miller, the projected number one college player getting drafted. Obviously, they've had a lot of off the court issues going on with Alabama, but on the court, they've been as good as any team in the league. So let's start in the South. So we got Alabama as the one. I'll just rattle off like the first couple top seeds. Arizona was the number 2 seed in this conference. They ended up beating UCLA in the conference tournament, in the Pac-12 conference tournament, I believe was the case. Baylor, like I said, number 3 seed. And then the number 4 seed is Virginia Cavaliers. And I guess let's just start there because I'm reading The Athletic, and one of the things that they do is the most likely first round upsets. They have, it's what they call the, what do they have here? The slingshot, obviously like David and Goliath, the slingshot rankings. Their number one most likely first round upset was the Virginia Cavaliers. This is a team that hasn't, outside of their championship in 2019, hasn't made it out of the first round in, since 2019, I believe was the case. So talk to me about the first couple seeds in this region, and then what do you think about Virginia and Furman as well?
yeah, I mean, I'll start with Virginia and Furman. I think it's a little bold to say that it's like the best upset pick of the first round.
Okay.
I definitely think it's
I got some
possible.
other ones we'll go over as we go
Yeah,
through the
absolutely,
bracket. So I'll
absolutely.
pick your brain, see what you
I
think. But
definitely
go.
think it's possible. Now, here's the thing that's really interesting about this game. It's like the clash of opposites. Furman, one of the best offensive teams in the entire country. They score over 80 points per game. They're top 10 in the country. I think they're number 8 in assists per game. They average over 17 assists per game. So this is a team that can really, really score the ball. Now, they don't play great defense, but at the same time, this Virginia offense isn't exactly explosive. But then obviously this is a textbook UVA team on defense. They take care of the ball. They're not going to beat themselves on offense. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this Furman offense, which is so high powered, fares against the tough Virginia defense. It's going to be interesting. It really is, because Virginia is going to be able to score against them regardless of how good their offense is. So it's really going to be, is Furman going to be able to score?
Yeah, they're obviously Virginia, they've been one of the best defensive teams under Tony Bennett in the last, however long Tony Bennett has been there. But like you said, the one thing that kind of really shows up in March is the 3-point shot. In basketball, it can swing results. I mean, for Furman, they hoist up more than 27 attempts per game. They take care of the ball. They guard the opposing 3-point line well. So Ken Pom has them adjusted offensive efficiency top 35, top 15 in effective field goal percentage. So like you said, this is a team that can really, really score. Obviously, not obviously, but I haven't watched a ton of Furman action. But when you give this resume in front of me, a team that can shoot the ball and go on like that, I think maybe I'm just a hater on Virginia. I don't really think their style fits tournament play specifically. I mean, obviously they've done well. They won a national championship a couple of years ago. But I do think it's going to be really interesting to see how the styles make out here.
Yeah, it should be a good game.
And how they move on. So that'll be obviously interesting. They're in that top half of the region.
Yep.
Another great game, Maryland, West Virginia. I know we were talking about this yesterday. What do you make of this one?
This is a pick 'em for me, man. This is like I think this is the first game of the tournament, like on Thursday. I think it's the 12-15 game on Thursday. There's going to be a lot of brackets broken after that 12-15 game. Mine included, probably. So the scoop on these teams, I mean, both obviously play in high major conferences, so they both have played against top teams, which is good. Maryland only shoots 32% from three, which could be a little troublesome in the tournament. Obviously, you got to be able to make shots, but they're a really great defensive team. Pretty sure they're top 50 on offense and defense and efficiency. They're a grinded out team, a little bit similar to Virginia, in all honesty. They're going to try and get the best possession possible they can, but they're not really an elite offensive team. West Virginia is a team that they're not great on defense. You think of Bob Huggins' team and you're like, press Virginia, 90 feet, causing turnovers. This is kind of they're not great on defense. They're a much better offensive team than they are defensive. One of the big keys in this game is West Virginia offensive rebounds. They get 35% of their misses back. So when you put that into perspective, I mean, you're taking 10 shots and you're getting almost 4 of them back on an offensive rebound. I think that could be the key to the game right there. I think it's going to be a close game. I could see it going either way. What do you think there?
Yeah, I love that. I love that take. That was another thing I was going to bring up along with the 3-point shot. Offensive rebounding is so crucial in these games, obviously in these tournament games. So many times it comes down to 1 or 2 possessions. That's it. Like, obviously free throws and 3-point shooting is big, but like the offensive rebounds, and that's where I think that could almost swing a pick-em type game, like you mentioned. Obviously Maryland, they had a pretty good year offensively, defensively, solid middle of the pack. They didn't finish the season great. They dropped 4 of their final 7, so you don't love to see that going into the tournament, but like you said, I think it's a pick 'em. I do think I might lean a little bit towards West Virginia, just playing in the better conference this season. Obviously, the Big Ten is a good conference, had a great year, but I think the Big 12 is historically and this year a little deeper, and maybe a little better on the high end, obviously with Kansas and some other teams. So I think I'll lean West Virginia, but like you said, I think it's right there. And, like you said, a lot of brackets are going to be busted right away.
Yeah.
One other game I love in this region, I love Charleston. Like, what out of nowhere, what is up with Charleston?
I love Charleston. I'll give you the scoop on them.
Yeah, so they got San Diego State.
Yep.
And they finished 31-3, 16-2 in the Colonial Conference. What makes them a good upset pick this year?
Yeah, this is a little similar to Furman, Virginia. Not quite, but San Diego State holds teams under 30% from 3. So they're a really, really stout defensive team, and Charleston relies on the 3 a lot. They shoot almost half their shots from three. They're a super efficient team. They won 31 games. They're one of those mid-major teams that kind of ran through their conference. They're a good team. They're experienced. One stat I liked on them that I saw was they're third in the whole country in bench scoring. So they're a deep team. Obviously, I think you got to be deep in the tournament. There's going to be, whether it's an injury, obviously you never wish that, foul trouble, whatever it may be, you're going to have to go to the bench in the NCAA tournament. So a team that's third in bench scoring, that's appealing to me. They're also top 20 in the country in offensive rebounding. When you shoot a lot of threes, there's a lot of long misses, right? So the ball's coming off the rim and they're going after those shots. So I agree. I really, really like Charleston here. The thing is, San Diego State is good.
Yeah.
They're really good. They're in the same boat. They get 25 points a night from their bench. They're a deep team. They can defend, like I said. So it's not going to be easy for Charleston, but I see a close game here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love that. Little note on Charleston scores. They have 6 scorers ranging between 12 and 9 points per game.
There
So
you go.
exactly
Yep.
what you said, a balanced scoring offensively, one of the most potent offenses in the league. And, they're going to have their work cut out for them. Obviously, like you mentioned, great defensive team, Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year, Nathan Mensah. Is going to be a big factor in this game, and it's going to be really interesting. These 5-12 matchups are always interesting in the tournament. It always seems to be one or two of them a year that can break a lot of people's brackets and really swing a region. So I think that's going to be another one to really keep an eye on. You want to touch on a couple of the other games? I know we were talking about Utah State, Missouri, that matchup there. We both liked Utah State there. If you have any little nuggets on that game.
Yeah, I really like Missouri.
Oh, okay.
No, I like both teams. I think it's going to be a tough game. I was telling you earlier, I love Dennis Gates, head coach at Missouri, first year there, done an absolutely phenomenal job there. Obviously, Missouri is not a basketball school, and he stepped in and made a difference right away. I really, really like the team. It's tough because, like I said, Utah State's a good mid-major team, very good offensive team. They can shoot the ball extremely well. I think the key here is how well can Missouri shoot it. They're just about an average offensive team shooting the ball wise. But I did see a stat when they shoot over 35% from three, they're 15-0. So I think it's going to be, if Missouri can make some perimeter shots, I think they're going to be able to pull out the W. I think if they're not hitting and Utah State starts making some shots, it's going to be tough. But I'm really looking forward to seeing that game. I'm rooting for Missouri, but I think it's going to be a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a perfect style matchup for this one. Obviously, like you mentioned with Utah State, their scoring ability, averaging over 80 points a game or almost shooting 40% from beyond the arc. They're getting up 24 attempts a game, like they're putting it up. But at the same time, like you mentioned, Missouri, they like to play small. They like to get up and down. They like to really put it on you. So I think that's going to be a really, really fun game. There's a lot of matchups in this region where you could really see, you can really see some high scoring games and some really fun games there. So I guess overall, this region we went through a couple games. I could see a couple upsets in here. Do you have a team? Is Alabama coming out of this region? Do you see any team that can really challenge? We didn't even really talk about Arizona that much, but is it Alabama's to lose? Did they earn that number 1 overall seed run, or do you think they're going to have a little trouble in this region?
I think I'll give a few teams. I don't think Baylor's going to make a run. I'll be surprised if they do. I know they're a solid team. I'm out on Baylor. Alabama's going to win the first 2 games, I think. Brandon Miller is an absolute stud. He gave South Carolina 41 in February. The team in general is top 20 in the nation on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive efficiency. The only knock on them is they turn the ball over a decent amount, but they're a good team. I like them. I don't think Virginia would give them trouble, like you said.
Yeah, I don't see Virginia challenging them.
I think they kind of have a path to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
I honestly think San Diego State is probably the best matchup in that top half of the bracket.
Okay.
You look at the bottom half, I like Creighton. My gripe,
We
I
didn't talk
love
about much about
Creighton's
them, but
offense. They run some of the best offense. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Some of the best
let me see if I
offense
can
in
get
the
something.
country. The gripe I have with Creighton is they're not very deep. They
Okay.
rely on their starters a lot, but man, those starters can shoot it and they can play. And I really like Creighton to win at least a game or two. Arizona's a tricky one. I think Arizona's pretty good. They've got two really dominant front court players, Umar Ballo, and I can't pronounce the other guy's name, but he's even better. Pretty sure he had 40 in a game this year. But
Azules Tubelis.
yeah, those two dominate the paint. On offense, they assist 66% of their field goals.
Love that.
And they're like top 10 in the country in pace and offensive efficiency. So there's a lot to like with this team because they're not just an inside team either. Like they have guys who can shoot it on the perimeter too. Yeah, I think they won't have any issue in the second round against Missouri or Utah State. I'd be surprised if either of those teams give them too much trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see Creighton play them. I'd like to see if Creighton can get hot.
Yeah, Creighton with the defensive player of the year in the back-to-back defensive player of the year, Kalkbrenner.
Yeah, maybe he can match up a little bit. And they have shooters on the perimeter. I mean, the issue is if Kalkbrenner gets in foul trouble, those two guys are going to eat up the bench.
Yeah, so he missed 3 games this year, and they went 0-3 in all games. So, like you mentioned, the value there is crucial for the Blue Jays.
Yep.
But yeah, overall a fun region. Honestly, a lot of upset potential. Some really strong teams here. I personally have Alabama coming out of this region. I just think the scoring upside and the ability to play make is going to be crucial. They also have a lot of size. So I think there's a lot to like with the Alabama team. Obviously, the number 1 overall seed. You're never going to really bank on them losing, but I just don't see a ton of guys, even like the 4 seed. Like you said, I don't see any resistance before the Elite 8. Really, I mean, they might have some close games, but
yeah. I agree. I think it's going to be a 1-2. I think I could very well see Alabama, Arizona in the Elite 8.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. So let's move on to the Midwest now, Connor. We got a lot of interesting matchups in this one too. This was definitely one I wanted to get to.
I like this one. Yeah.
Yeah. First off, we got Houston as the 1 seed in this region. Texas as the 2, Xavier as the 3, and then we have Indiana coming in as the 4 seed here. There's a number of great matchups here. So is there one specific matchup that jumps out to you that you want to talk about first?
Yeah, let's talk about I think the toughest matchup to pick in this first round in the region. I'm gonna go Miami and Drake.
The Drake.
The Drake. I'm a big Miami fan. I like Jim Larinaga. They're a good team. They score over 80 points per game, just outside the top 25 in the country in points per game. They got balanced scoring, 4 players over 13.5 a game. The big question mark with them is their big man. I could be butchering this name, Norchad Omir. He hurt his ankle in the ACC tournament. So
yes, he did.
He averages
semifinals
14 and 10. They need him. We got to hope he's healthy because this Drake team is they're not one to be messed with. They're led by freshman of the year in the conference, Tucker DeVry. That's another guess on the last name.
Yeah, I think that's how you got it.
His dad's the coach.
Sophomore, right?
Is he?
I think so.
Maybe you're right. Maybe
I think sophomore, but
last year. That might be mine. Averaged 20 in league play this year, can shoot the crap out of the ball. They're a good team. He's going to be a future pro from what I've read. And they're experienced. They're top 50 on both sides of the ball. If Miami is missing Omir, it's going to be a tough game for them, in my opinion. If Omir plays, I like Miami, but I don't know what the deal is with him. I haven't seen any updates. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he went out in the semifinals of the ACC tournament early within the first 5 minutes of their matchup, and really struggled to put weight on it. Was out right away, an ankle, like you said, an ankle injury. So, we'll see if it can bounce back. You know how those sprained ankles go. It might feel okay. Sometimes people can come back into the games and then it flares up. When they come out of the game right away, maybe they were looking towards the future with the tournament in hand and all that stuff, but you never love to see that. And I don't know, he changes a lot for Miami. I mean, they got pretty much steamrolled in the semifinals there in the ACC tournament, but this is a very, very good offensive team. They led the ACC in scoring, field goal percentage, and 3-point percentage. So, they're very potent, but they were 12th in the conference in field goal defense. So, like you mentioned, with the way Drake can score on offense and go about their business that way, it's going to be an interesting matchup. If they don't have that guy, I can definitely see an upset brewing here. But like you mentioned, Jim Larinaga is such a good coach. They're who's their guard? They have Isaiah Wong, junior guard, ACC Player of the Year.
Yep. They got guys who you can give the ball to and they can get a bucket. So that's what you need in the tournament. So that should be a fun game.
I think it's an interesting matchup for sure. I think I will take Miami in there, but very, very interesting matchup there.
Yep. There's a lot of good ones in this.
Let's go to where do you want to go here? A&M Penn State. You want to talk about the A&M Penn State game
Penn
here?
State, maybe a top 10 shooting team in the country.
Yep.
39% as a team from three. They're hot at the right time too. Had a good run in the Big Ten tournament.
Yep.
Big thing for them is they're not a great rebounding team and they're iffy on defense. They're going to need to make shots. A&M is also hot. So it's two teams who have some momentum coming in the tournament. A&M's won 17 of their last 20 after they started the season 6-5. So they're playing their best basketball right now. And I talked about Penn State being not a great rebounding team. A&M gets 37% of their misses back. So another team similar to West Virginia who's getting almost 4 out of their 10 misses back in an offensive rebound, and they're getting to the line. Really good free throw rate. So Penn State's going to need to hit from the outside to win, but they're hot right now, and I think it could be a good game. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very, very good from 3-point range. I got a stat here. They were only 8 3-pointers shy of tying the Big Ten record on Sunday against Purdue. I believe so. That was So they're very, very dangerous. They can put it up. They're second in the 3-point percentage, like you said, 39%. I mean, come on now,
incredible.
Very, very good. Also second in assist to turnover ratio. So very, very good handling the ball. I could see Penn State, like you said, getting hot at the right time. I could see them pulling the upset here and taking out A&M. A&M doesn't have any great players that you might say might go into the next level, but they got Wade Taylor the fourth, Tyrese Radford, both great guards at the college level. So they should be able to get it done. But both of those guys are averaging well over 30 minutes a game. So they rely heavily on their guys, but it has led to a lot there. Also, Julius Marble II, Michigan State transfer, also a great 6'9", 245. So, he's definitely an issue there. So it's going to be really interesting. I think that's a great game. And like you mentioned, Penn State, after their run to the Big Ten title game, I think, is coming in hot and they could potentially make a little noise there. I don't think they would get past Texas, though, if they did win. And I think Texas is getting a little bit of hate unnecessarily. I think they could make a serious run.
From who?
I'm just saying, I'm not seeing their name come up a lot as potential Final Four and going deep.
They better worry about their first game.
Who's that? The Longhorns?
Yep.
With who? Colgate?
If Colgate was more athletic, if they were more athletic, Texas would be in trouble. They run some of the best offense in the entire country. I'm going to shout out their coach, Matt Langle, right now, probably a top 15 to 20 coach in the entire country. I'm hearing things he may be going for Notre Dame. He's an extremely bright offensive mind, like really, really good. They run great stuff. They shoot 40% from three, 50% from the field. The problem is they will not be able to match up athletically. So it's going to be a tough one for them. But they're not going to give it to Texas. I agree. Texas is a very good team, very good defensively, which obviously if it's a bad matchup for Colgate. If Colgate were to play a higher seed who was good on offense, but not good on defense, then maybe they could hang with them and score a little bit. But Texas, I mean, they're forcing turnovers almost 1 out of every 4 possessions, 23% turnover rate. They're taking the ball from you. You're not getting a shot off. Now I think Colgate takes care of the ball pretty well. So I don't know. I like Texas.
Hey.
They're gonna win the game. They're gonna win the game, but I want to watch that game. I want to see how Colgate fares against them.
Right. And obviously, elephant in the room with Texas, Chris Beard was fired midway through the season. So they're starting to deal with that as the season goes on.
Fired at Ole Miss already.
Yes, I did see something about, yep. So he'll be starting there next season, but Rodney Terry take over for Beard, and he's done all right there. They beat Kansas twice in the last week of the season, so I think they really have a lot going for them. And I just think they could really make a run if they're, obviously they play Kansas in the same conference, so they have familiarity there. But playing up to that level, they can play with anybody in the country, so I think they're a very live.
Another point for them is they are 9th in the country in bench points per game, 29 points from their bench a night. So talk about that depth and how important that is. That's a big key.
Love that. So another one of the Athletics top 10 most likely first round upsets here, regardless of who wins the play-in game, is the Iowa State Cyclones. They are on upset alert. The Athletic doesn't even care who wins between Mississippi State and Pitt. They think that Iowa State has a legit chance to go down. So talk to me a little bit about Iowa State. They're a little slow, grinded out team. But what do you think about Iowa State?
Yeah, they're I don't know. It's going to be a tough game. I like Pittsburgh to beat Mississippi State, and I think Pittsburgh's a solid team. They made the last top 25 poll in February, first time of the season, and they have 3 separate 5+ game winning streaks this year. So they've shown the ability to get hot and build some momentum. Iowa State has beat Kansas. They beat Baylor 3 times, and they're a great defensive team. Not great scoring the ball, very streaky shooting from the outside, but they force almost 17 turnovers per game. They're led inside by our fellow mainland guy Osuni, patrolling the paint, blocking a lot of shots for them, transferred from St. Bonaventure.
Iowa State?
Yep. Him and a fellow teammate from St. Bonaventure also transferred to Iowa State.
Jaron Holmes.
Yep. And they're very good on defense. So I'm gonna have to disagree with the Athletic in the sense that it's a likely upset. I don't think it's very possible. I could see Pitt getting the dub, but I think Iowa State's a pretty good team. I mean, they've beat Kansas, they beat Baylor 3 times. I wouldn't just call it I don't know. I think they're gonna win. I like Iowa State.
Yeah, I think they can definitely make a little bit of noise. Decent record in the Big 12 this year. But they had a win over, like I mentioned earlier with Texas, they had a win over Kansas earlier this year. So obviously they can play up to their competition and really go there. Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting how they didn't even care who came out of this, either Mississippi State or Pitt. So I think that's really, really interesting.
I think I read something. I'm trying to see if this is exactly correct. Let me look something up real quick. I believe they lost their best perimeter shooter
on Iowa State.
Yeah. They dismissed Caleb Grill from the team late in the season, who's their top 3-point shooter. So they already struggle to shoot the 3. And then late in the season, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, they kicked off a player from the team who was their best 3-point shooter. So if I had to guess, I'd say that's probably a big part in the Athletic thinking they could lose in the first round.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is another really fun region. I don't want to say the 1 and 2s are going to come out of it again.
Houston's very good.
Houston's very good, but
38% of their misses back. Four out of 10, they're getting back.
But are we going to talk about their leading scorer being injured at the moment? Sasser?
He's going to be okay.
Is he going to be back?
I think.
Okay, I haven't. He missed the final game and a half of the conference tournament, so
he missed last year's tournament. He wants to play very, very badly.
All right.
He's the one to watch. I think if he's healthy, he's going to put the team on his back.
Yeah, leading scorer of the team. I mean,
he's ready to go. They're the only team in the whole country in top 10 on both sides of the ball, offense and defensive efficiency.
Yeah,
really good.
I think it's going to be between them and Texas. Outside of that, I haven't seen too much of Xavier this year.
Let's shout out Kennesaw State real quick. That's who Xavier's playing, the 314. Kennesaw State was 1-28 3 years ago in 2020, and now they've won the conference title in just a 3-year turnaround. Their coach is the brother of Sharif Abdur-Rahim, the NBA player,
former NBA player.
Their coach, something else about them. They probably won't. They probably won't win against Xavier, but I just wanted to shout them out. You'd love to see a turnaround like that. Maybe they'll give them a little bit of trouble. Xavier's a pretty good team.
Kennesaw State, they can really get it done. I'm trying to see.
They do a good job getting the free throw line. They don't play in a great conference, but
right. But yeah, no, I think they can definitely. How
about Indiana, Kent State? You got any like for Kent State? I got lots of like for Kent State.
Yeah, I mean, number 4 upset chance according to the Athletic, Indiana Hoosiers.
Now we agree on one. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Indiana play a ton. Jalen Hood-Schifino is, is he coming in this year?
The Indiana's dude is Trace Jackson Davis. You want to hear some numbers? 21, 13 boards, 5 assists, and 3 blocks in conference play.
First team All-American.
Yeah, I mean, they've beaten Purdue, but they're very inconsistent away from home. They're 5-7 away from their home gym this year. Kent State lost to Houston by 5 and lost to Gonzaga by 7. Their best player is a guard, Sincere Carey. He's gonna have to do some carrying if they want to beat Indiana. But I kind of like it. I think I want to see like a stud matchup between Jackson Davis and Sincere Carey. I want to see them both put up like 30.
Yeah, no, that could be a great. They lost to Houston 49-44.
Yeah,
jeez,
man,
just an absolute grudge match.
They beat somebody. They beat They had a decent win, but they lost to Gonzaga by 7 and they lost to Houston by 5. They beat they lost to Charleston by 2, who has 30 wins. So another close game against a tournament team. So yeah, I don't think we can just push Indiana to the second round.
The gold flashes, they could really they could make some noise and they could upset some people. I think it's going to be
region.
Houston and Texas, unfortunately, in the Elite 8. I think is going to come out of that, but there's definitely some potential there. Let's swing it to the West now. We got
save it, Duke, for last, huh?
Yeah, we'll save the East for the last.
The East is my favorite region.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot to talk about for that one. So the West, Kansas is the number 1 seed. UCLA is the number 2 seed. We got Gonzaga as the 3 seed and UConn as the 4 seed. This is a really fun region, I think, because I could see UConn making a deep run as the 4 seed. I could see UCLA. I could see legit. I'm not so hot on Gonzaga. I just don't really, I think once they go up against, even TCU's, really, really good. I think if they go up against a UCLA or something like that, I'm not so sure, but I could legit see UCLA, UConn, or Kansas all coming out of this region. So a lot of firepower at the top of this seed region.
Yeah. This is another fun region. They all really are. Let's shout out Kansas. They lost 74% of their offensive production from last year, and they're a number 1 seed. Shout out Bill Self,
Great
who
coach.
also was not present for the Big 12 tournament. He was sick. So obviously, I'm sure he plans to be back for the tournament. That's going to give them a boost. I like Kansas. Shout out Howard, who they're playing in the first round. Their coach, formerly at DeMatha Catholic, I believe, and he played for Coach K, won 2 national titles in 91 and 92, Kenny Blakeney. So they've done a great job. He's done a great job there. They've had a good season. Really good rebounding team. Shout out to Howard. Kansas will probably be a little bit too much for them, but I really do like Kansas in this region. I am a big UCLA fan, but the loss of Jalen Clark, the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, torn Achilles, is just absolutely massive for them.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Jaime Jaquez, who I love. He's had an absolutely great season, All-America season. He's an future NBA player in my eyes. I really like him. Tiger Campbell, obviously, he's a winner. He's been here before. He knows what to do. So I like Mick Cronin. I really like the UCLA team, but that loss of Clark is not good. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun bracket. What are you thinking?
Yeah, Clark being out changes things. I wasn't totally familiar with his game there. So I was not quite sure about that. They could still really get it done. Obviously, freshman Amari Bailey really gets the job done on the outside there. Yeah. So they're they're really strong, and they're really solid. Last year, this was the 2021 team. I mean, almost made a complete run if not for a Jalen Suggs. Not for a Jalen Suggs half-court shot.
Yep.
So, and then last year they ran into your boys, North Carolina and Caleb Love, in a great game there. So they've fallen on some tough luck, but shout out to Mick Cronin, back-to-back Sweet 16 appearances, and another great team this year. So I think they have the experience. I think they have the obviously the loss of Clark hurts, but they do have some good depth scoring the basketball. They don't really have any major blemish on their resume. So I think they could make a little bit of a run. Obviously, the defense is going to be tough to bounce out, but I don't really think they see a tough test until maybe Gonzaga or.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that matchup. What do you think?
TCU. Yeah, we could talk Gonzaga. I just don't love Gonzaga, and we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. The West Coast Conference, even this wasn't a typical Gonzaga year. Obviously, they finished 28-5, which is better than I anticipated. But they lose to Texas and Purdue earlier in the year, so not really great. They did beat Alabama, Kentucky. They do have some good games on there, but I don't know. I just with Drew Timme being the only like really reliable scorer, I don't love it. They got a lot of transfers this year, so we'll see if they kind of, can step up. But then again, not a lot of turnover from their tournament teams in the past. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? I don't love it, but
I think their guard Strother is the key for them. I saw something about him. It's like when he scores in their wins, he scores 16 a game. Yeah, so that's when they're at their best, when Strother is scoring, because they kind of know what they're getting from their other guys. 88 points per game. I'm pretty sure they led the nation. Obviously, they're playing in that weak conference, like you mentioned, but you can 88 points is 88 points. They shoot
definitely.
They shoot like over 50% from two, 59% from two. So yeah, I think they're a solid team. I think I don't know how good. I'd like to see them in UCLA. I'd like to see that matchup. What did you have to say about TCU? You like TCU?
I was going to say we could go over around there, really, up and down team, fast on offense. They don't really shoot the three ball that well, so I don't love that, but they're really good defensively, forcing a lot of turnovers. They're good 3-point defense wise. I think that could be an interesting game. They're who's their one? their one guard, Mike Miles, second team all conference, led the team in scoring again for a second straight season. So I think he could really be, really be good for them. Their center is probably going to be out. Eddie Lampkin is probably going to be out for the NCAA tournament. So that, is a potential to really struggle. But a lot of their games are points in the paint and second chance buckets. So it's going to be really interesting. I just think they're a team that could, potentially get a little bit of action. 8-11 in quad one games this year. They had a close loss to Texas in the quarterfinals of the Big 12 tournament. So I think they could make a little bit of noise here or there. I don't really think too much of Arizona State or Nevada in that matchup, but in a matchup against Gonzaga, I don't know if TCU will have enough, size to combat Timmy.
I'm gonna say UConn is the dark horse.
I like UConn, man.
They look good. I mean, top 10 in the country in offense, top 25 in the country in defense, elite rebounding rates, which rebounding is key, like we've talked about multiple times on the pod in the tournament. I mean, they peaked at number 2 in the AP top 25 poll. They when it's clicking for UConn, there's not many teams that can beat them. They're force inside, they're force outside, they can defend. I don't know. I'm hesitant to pick them to go far. I don't really know why. Does that make sense? Like I don't know why, but because I read all this, everything I see about them, everything I watch, I'm like, damn, they're good, but there's something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, they struggled in the middle of the season. They kind of hit a little bit of a dry spell after peaking, like you said, at 2, losing 6 at 8 in the mid, at a point during the mid-season. They were 5-6 in the Big East on January 25th, ended up winning their last 5 to finish 10-6 they ended up finishing 13-7 in the Big East. I think that might be including the conference tournament. But they only lost by 2 to Marquette in the conference tournament semi. We were watching that game. So that, they're able to compete with these teams. I don't know what it is either. I think that, they're 25-8, a great record, only ended up with a 4 seed. I think if they did better in their conference tournament, they might have been seeded a little higher, but Sango, 2-time first team all Big East selection, going to be scoring and rebounding for them. He's going to get it done. They even have his backup center was the MVP of the Phil Knight Invitational in November, Donovan Klingen. So you got these guys who have a good 1-2 in the paint. Got a couple guards who are, averaging double figures and scoring, Hawkins and Newton. Obviously guard Andre Jackson Jr. has been playing a lot better as the season's been going on. So, I don't know what to make of the team. Honestly, they got a lot of guys who can score. You should probably ask our buddy Nick about this team to see how they're doing it. But overall, I think they can really make a run, and their path, the path isn't too good. Iona, I'm not obviously too sold on. We're not super sold on St. Mary's in general.
I want to talk St. Mary's VCU a little bit.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off.
No.
This game is, I don't know what. I'm tearing my hair out about.
They have a top 10 defense and defensive efficiency.
Yeah, they blow things up. They're good at guarding against what you're going to run. They can shoot. I mean, they shoot 37% from 3, but I think they're streaky. Like they'll get really, really hot for stretches, and then they'll also get really cold. VCU is a great defensive team. They can score a little bit too. They're a little bit inconsistent scoring the ball, but they're going to pressure you defensively the whole time. So it's a battle of 2 tough defenses and inconsistent shooting. And it feels like an 8-9, not a 5-12. Am I crazy?
Yeah, I mean, VCU is really going to ratchet up the pressure. They're really 6th best turnover rate in the country. Yep. So I think that could be a big factor. But at the same time, I just don't know if, what is St. Mary? I mean, their junior center, Mitchell Saxon, in their high-profile games this year against Gonzaga, Houston, San Diego State, he averaged 4 points and 5 rebounds a game. But, I mean, he might be a barometer for how good they go. He had 15 and 11 in their win against Gonzaga, against Drew Timme this year. So, when he plays well, it seems like they do well. But at the same time, it's like, they got 3 guys averaging over 30 minutes a game. they rely really on that cohesion and their pace. They really slow it down. They don't have a lot of defensive pressure. I don't I don't know. I think I'm just like sour on the case of St. Mary's making a deep run. Could they win a game? Yes, I think they could definitely take out VCU. I mean, VCU, they haven't done anything great. I mean, 15-3,
Yeah.
and we were talking about the Atlantic 10, a little
Yeah.
bit. They had,
Which conference is better? I think the A10 is definitely better.
it could, it could be made the case, but at the same time, I think they're similar. But the fact is, they went 27-7, 15-3 in the A10. I mean, St. Mary's still had a good record themselves, going 26-7, 14-2 in the West Coast Conference.
Yep.
I don't think VCU had a win like beating Gonzaga, this year. So I think that's definitely something to consider.
I want to see Aiden Mahaney. I haven't really watched St. Mary's much, but he's their freshman point guard starting, averaging 14 a game. Apparently, he's hit big shots in the second half of games recently.
41% from three.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to see how he plays. I think he could be a key for them in the game. Let's see how he plays as a freshman point guard in the tournament.
Yeah, no, that's going to be crucial too, especially. But they've been in the tournament, I feel like, the last couple of years. So they've been, I think year over year, obviously outside the freshmen, but year over year, they're able to, kind of keep that momentum going. Realistically, I could see 4 teams coming out of this region, the top 4 specifically. UCLA, obviously the loss of Clark, their defensive stopper, is going to be an issue. But, UConn, Kansas, if that happens in the Elite 8, or excuse me, in the Sweet 16, that's going to be a hell of a showdown.
Oh yeah.
And
I'd like to see that game. I'm looking forward to that.
And a potential UCLA Gonzaga game. Obviously, there could be an upset here or there, but not something that we're necessarily projecting out of there. So, I hate to be going chalk, but there's a lot of high seeds that we're picking here. Haven't been too. Let me see if there's any upsets on the Athletic that they think in this region. VCU, they like, 7th best chance to upset St. Mary's. They like that. They like Arizona State over TCU. TCU is in this region, right? Yeah, they like Arizona State. They have the 8th best odds for these guys. So, there's some interesting mid-tiered upsets we're looking at, but I don't think any of the top guys we're really projecting to get out of there necessarily. So yeah, I think that's going to be a really fun one. Now let's shift it to the East region. Probably the most fun region out of any of them. We have a lot of offensive firepower. We have a lot of low seeds, with a lot of firepower as well. And then of course we have the Duke Blue Devils. So we gotta talk about that. Rounding out the top of the East, Purdue got the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference after a dominant year, headlined by probably player of the year, Zach Edey. Marquette, very fun offensive team out of the Big East, the number 2 seed. And then we have Kansas State as the 3 seed with Tennessee as the 4 seed. So those are your top 4 seeds. I guess let's just start with the 5-12 matchup. Let's just start with let's just start with the Blue Devils.
That's
and
so crazy.
Oral Roberts.
Yeah, they got a tough one, huh? You got to be sweating that.
So let me just say this: we've been talking all episode. We've been talking all episode about a couple things that are crucial come tournament time. Offensive rebounding is the number 1 thing. Defending the 3-point shot, I think, is another crucial thing for success in the tournament. And that's been 2 of the things that Duke has done phenomenally down the stretch. Obviously, they didn't play great to start the year, but they've really hit their stride of late. Derek Lively, Kyle Filipowski are making a great front court. Defensively, both 7-footers. Kyle Filipowski, ACC Freshman of the Year, so he's been really coming on to his own. But like I mentioned, a couple things. They were 2nd in the conference in 3-point defense, and during their win streak, they're just shooting 39% from the field in general. So I think that their defense is going to be something really, really crucial here. And another thing that I think is really crucial is they have a lead guard in Jeremy Roach who's been there, done that, and can really settle a young team down when it, I don't know why I laugh at. They can settle a young team down when it comes time for big shots. Last year against Texas Tech, he's hitting big shots. Last year in the Final Four, even though they lost to North Carolina, was a big reason why they were staying close in that game. I think having the defensive and rebounding in the front court, and then also having perimeter creators in Tyrese Proctor, Jeremy Roach, and then Dariq Whitehead coming off the bench. I think there's a lot to like about this Duke team. You did mention Oral Roberts is a tough draw, and I'm not going to say it's not. A team that gets up a ton of three-pointers. We saw them last year. They were a 15 seed. They ended up making it to the Sweet 16. They almost made it to the Elite Eight after, going up against number 3 Arkansas. But they bring back Max Abmas, their darling of the tournament. He was a monster last year. Only 6 foot 175, but absolutely balled out this
500
year.
career points.
Two-time Summit League Player of the Year. So absolutely great there. I don't know if they're just going to have enough size to deal with Duke. And if they hit enough threes, it's going to be close. It's going to be really close. But I just think that with the form Duke's in and their defense, their rebounding, I think they're primed for a run. So there's my spiel on the Blue Devils that I've been holding in for the show. So
what's the percent chance you give Oral Rob? What's the percent of the upset?
I think there's probably like a 10 to 15% chance.
Oh, that's low.
I mean, what do you want me to do? These teams that are getting, most likely upsets are like 30, 25. I don't think it's that likely.
Yeah.
I don't think it's 20.
Jay Billis thinks this Oral Roberts team is better than the team that beat number 2 Ohio State last year. They've got a transfer big, Connor Vanover from Cal and Arkansas. So he's played at high major. He's making almost 2 threes a game. Isaac McBride, transfer from Vanderbilt. So they got guys in on this team, adding on to Max Abmas. I agree with everything you said about this Duke team. John Shire's never coached the NCAA tournament. You can't take that for it's something. It's something. They don't have their commander anymore. Lord Commander's gone. We're gonna have to see John do it in the tournament, all right? Because this Oral Roberts team, this Oral Roberts coach, they were just doing it last year, and
it's fair. It's a fair point.
It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. I think Duke should win. I agree with what you said, but I think it's going to be. I think, in my opinion, I'd be surprised if the game isn't a single-digit game. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a hot take. Maybe we'll see.
I don't.
We'll see.
What's the spread? I'll look up the spread right now.
Look up the spread. I'll take the cover.
It's a double-digit spread. I'm gonna guess the spread.
It's probably 8.5. I think it is 8.5.
Yeah, you probably know. I was gonna say 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think it's 8.5 from what I saw when it opened. But who knows if it changed a little bit. As people have been betting on it. But they're a public favorite. It is 6.5.
6.5.
All right, it's been bet down. It seems. I don't know. I think they cover that number, but it's not the easiest draw by any stretch. And then if they do win, they got a tough matchup in Tennessee. They got Louisiana in the first round, but Tennessee is one of the best defensive teams in the country, so I think they should get by. They're going to be a tough team. They had some wins over Kansas, Texas, Alabama. One of the best resumes in the league. They led the nation in defensive efficiency for most of the year. They had a couple late games in the season where they didn't do well, so dropped them number 2. But still a great defensive team in its own right.
Yeah, they're good. The issue with them is they're inconsistent on offense. Their free throw shooting is a little shaky, which obviously you got to make free throws in the tournament. And they've lost 6 of their last 10, so they're not exactly playing their best basketball. But I agree. I think they should handle Louisiana, but I don't know exactly how far I like Tennessee to go. We'll see. Yeah. But defenses, if you can get stops and get out in transition and get easy buckets, then then they're definitely capable.
For sure. Yeah. Louisiana, they're built around the paint too. They're built around their big guy, Jordan Brown. So, if they can limit him and kind of calm him down, then it should be a good thing there. We got American Athletic Conference champion Memphis taking out Houston in the conference tournament final. They have Florida Atlantic, who finished at 31-3. A crazy 8-9 matchup here. Obviously with Memphis coming off that big game, Penny Hardaway as their head coach, it's going to be interesting. They're fast paced, very on offense, very aggressive on defense. In tournament time, is that great? I don't know if you get up in a big league. If they get a big lead, it could potentially go, poof really quickly with the way they play, but we'll see kind of how they go. But FAU's dangerous, man. They're a dangerous team.
Yep.
Coming into the tournament. They ranked inside the AP top 25 for the first time this year in school history. So they definitely were not just another mid-major team coming into the tournament this year.
Yeah, they're another team kind of similar to Penn State. They shoot 38% from three as a team. So they average over 10 makes from three a game, and a lot of different guys can do it. 7 different guys have hit 29 or more threes on their teams. So you got 7 guys averaging a 3 a game or more. They're dangerous. Memphis, like you said, coming off a big win against Houston, ranking top 50 in the country in offense and defensive efficiency, which is obviously good. They're a very capable team, but it's not going to be an easy matchup for them. Like you said, I think this should be a good game. Yeah, I'm interested to watch this one. I think this should be a good game.
I don't think either one necessarily gives Purdue any trouble in the second round.
Yeah, I think Memphis has a better chance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Memphis, I think, has a little bit better chance. But I think Purdue should probably moonwalk to the Sweet 16 and then meet, either Duke, Tennessee, or in your case, Oral Roberts. But as we look toward the bottom half, a lot of interesting matchups here. I know you're a big fan of Marquette, but you also like Vermont from what I've gathered from our conversations there. So talk to me about Marquette and then the Vermont Catamounts.
Yeah. I like Marquette. They're headed by Tyler Kolek. I've been talking him up. Big East Player of the Year, just anointed. Averages over 8 assists per game. You look at him, you think there's no way this kid was the Big East Player of the Year. He's like 6'2", not super athletic, but he shoots just under 50% from the field, just under 40% from three, and he makes this offense go. They're super balanced. And they're just a really, really good team. Shaka Smart's done an awesome job with this team. They're third in the nation with 16 fast break points per game. They want to play quick. There's a lot of possessions in their game. They don't have great size, and sometimes they're a little bit inconsistent rebounding. So those are the 2 flaws for them. But like you said, I'm a big fan of Marquette. I think they're going to be able to handle Vermont. This is kind of a similar situation to like the Colgate, Texas. I don't think Vermont's going to be able to beat them, but I do like them. They're definitely solid. They don't turn the ball over. They're efficient on offense. And they haven't lost since January. So if you want to talk about a team rolling into the tournament with some momentum, some confidence, I'm pretty sure they were in the tournament last year. I'm like 99.9% positive they were in the tournament.
They made the tournament last year as a 13 seed. They lost by 4 points to Arkansas, number 4 seed in the first round.
So a lot of these guys are players who played in the tournament last year too. So they're going to be ready to play. It'd really just be if Marquette came out not ready to play, or if they couldn't make any shots or something, then maybe Vermont could give them some trouble. But yeah, should be a good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Vermont coach John Becker. They've won 7 consecutive regular season titles in the American East. He's been named the league's coach of the year on 6 occasions. So this is a guy that has the respect of his peers. The team's not going to be overwhelmed, like you mentioned, being in the tournament last year. But I just, like you said, just don't know if there's enough firepower to really challenge Marquette. But a really interesting matchup in the 7-12, Michigan State and USC. A little bit down year for Michigan State, I guess you could say, in terms of their yearly kind of expectations. But They got a nice little 7-game winning streak after they started 5-4. They finished 4th in the Big Ten regular season. Had an early win over Kentucky in the Champions Classic. So there's a lot of things to like. They shoot 3-pointers amazingly. They shoot above 40% from 3 this year. So that's really, really great. You got 3 members of the, actual rotation who shoot above 40% from 3, and all of them have attempted over 100 threes on the season. So you're talking about a team that gets it up and also puts them down. So this is going to be an interesting team. But as we were talking, the other day, USC's also got a lot of firepower as well.
Yeah, this is a tough game, and you mentioned how Michigan State shoots the ball so well from 3, but they do not do a good job of defending the 3. So if USC is able to knock down shots, it's going to be tough for them. One thing I like about USC is they're led by two senior guards, so they've got experienced backcourt. Drew Peterson, he's averaging 14 a game, 4 assists. He dropped 30 on Cal in a game. Also had 7 boards and 6 assists in that game. So I like teams that have experienced players, obviously, and more importantly, backcourt players who are going to have the ball in their hands.
Yep.
So it's not going to be an easy one for Michigan State. I do think Michigan State's going to win. Tom Izzo, he's done it before. We know what he's done in March. So I think I am going to go Michigan State, but I think it should be a good game. Yeah.
Yeah. Boogie Ellis, the other guard, big time senior. Yep. Big time high school recruit, started at Memphis, and then he ended up transferring to USC. He's really came on this year, team leading 18 points per game. He shot 44% from the field, 39 from 3, and 80% from the free throw line, leading the team in usage rate. So he's going to be a guy that is going to be at the focal point of this team, along with Drew Peterson. And we'll see if they compete. I actually have Michigan State in my bracket winning this matchup and upsetting Marquette in the round of 32. I love Tom Izzo. I think he's one of the best coaches in college basketball history, and a team that shoots the ball really well as they do, I think is really, really potent from this 7 seed. Another team I wanted to talk about is Kansas State. Kind of slept on. I feel like nobody really talks about Kansas State. Maybe it's just because I haven't been, following college basketball as closely, but this is a team with 2 second-team All-American players in what am I blanking on their names? Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson. Yeah, those 2 players, both second-team All-Americans this year. And, they did great in the Big 12. Obviously, 11-7, not fantastic, but, really, really good for how deep the Big 12 was this year. They want to play really fast. They want to have pace and space. But defensively, they're very, very good. They're holding opponents to an effective field goal rate of 47% and right at 30% on the 3-point range. So I think that's really, really important. They dropped 6 in a row to end the season, so maybe some of their luster kind of fell off towards the end of the season. But I don't know. I think Kansas State could make a lot of noise, coming out of this little half.
I agree. I don't like to see that they're on a skid rolling into the tournament. That's obviously never a good thing, but Noel and Keontae Johnson are 2 guys who are capable of carrying a team to a tournament run. Like, those are your 2 prototypical guys who could carry a team deep into the tournament. Noel's had at separate points in the season either consecutive 10+ assist games or consecutive 30-point scoring games. So the guy can distribute and he can score. They assist on 22% of their field goals. So they share the ball. Obviously, that's a recipe for success in the tournament. And then speaking about the other guard, Keontae Johnson, he's been kind of a big game player for them this year. They beat Kansas in overtime, 83-82. He had 24 points in that game. He had 28 points at Texas. He also had 24+ in both games against Baylor. So when the lights come on, it looks like Keontae Johnson's ready to play. So I think it's fair to I think you could pick them as a team that could make a little bit of a run, make some noise.
Yeah, let me just retract one of my statements. Last season, they dropped 6 in a row to end the season. This season, they actually won 4 of their last 5 regular season games, but they lost to TCU in the second round of the conference tournament. So didn't make it deep into their conference tournament, but did play well towards the end of the season. So I don't know. I could see them doing really, really well. The Kentucky Providence 6-11 matchup is going to be really interesting.
Mhm.
I I don't know what Kentucky's deal has been all year, but they've turned it on as of late, and it's been a roller coaster. But they seem to be playing well at the right time.
Yeah, I kind of like Providence, but at the same time, it's going to be tough. I mean, Shibwe just dominates the glass. You see the stat line he put up earlier in the year, 37 and 24. I
Yeah, the
mean,
guy's an absolute stud.
that's like a video game. That's 2K numbers.
Yep.
They're very good, but they're all right. They're not great at defense. They're just inconsistent. It's almost like they pick their spots, and sometimes they're up for games, and other times they're not up for games.
And I could see them potentially being up for this game. We have Bryce Hopkins, who was a reserve last year at Kentucky, didn't play a lot, but now he's averaging 16 points a game this year for Providence. He's leading the team in rebounds and double doubles. So maybe there's a little chip, maybe there's a little edge for the Friars.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a typical Providence team in recent memory has been a hard-nosed defensive team. This is a little bit of the opposite, kind of similar to the Bob Huggins, West Virginia. They're a lot better offensively than they've been in recent years, and Hopkins, like to your point, is a big part of that. So I like this team. They're not great on defense. That's the thing. I think if Shibwe is able to control the glass and able to control the interior, then I think Providence is going to have a tough time. And obviously containing Shibwe is a lot easier said than done. So the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm talking through it, Kentucky might be a pick. Then I might be swaying a little bit, but I think it should be a close game. I think it should be.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see whether or not they try to just pick at Shibwe on the perimeter and attack him in a bunch of ball screen actions. Crazy, 5 transfers in the starting lineup. If I'm reading this right, all 5 players average double figures. They got Hopkins from Kentucky, South Carolina transfer Devin Carter, Louisville transfer Noah Locke, great name, and then 2 other starters, Ed Crosswell from LaSalle and Jared Bynum from St. Joe. Shout out Philly. So they're all transfers, and they're still playing really, really well, all averaging double figures. That's going to be really important. But, it's really just going to be Shibwe. And if he really dominates down low, then, I could see them just running away from this game. It feels like they don't really have that lead guard. Maybe, they have Illinois State transfer Antonio Reeves, who's playing really, really well. But I feel like they've always had that lead guard at Kentucky to really score and get offenses into everything. So he's been playing great over the last 18, averaging 17 and shooting 41% from 3. So he's really starting to turn it on. But we'll see. I think that's going to be a really, really interesting matchup as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think we pretty much touched on most all of the matchups here. I'm going to be completely honest. I have Duke coming out of this region. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that's listened.
Let's talk about this then. Why are they better than Purdue? How are they going to continue? You think?
So out of most teams in the country, I think that Duke matches up well with Purdue strictly because they have Derek Lively II and Kyle Filipowski, both 7-footers. Both in the front court. I think if Derek Lively gets into foul trouble, it's going to be an issue for Duke. But if he can stay on the floor and stay straight up and down he's got a 9'4" vertical standing reach. So, I mean, I know Zach Eddy's 7'4", but he's as good at handle as anybody in the country. And then like you mentioned, having experienced guards at this point in the tournament. I just think Jeremy Roach is such an important player for them. And I know Purdue, they're really, really good as well with on the perimeter. But I think that between the scoring and the playmaking that they have, the form that they're in now, obviously Purdue is in great form as well. I think that they're as set as anybody with their front court. I think that's the big thing. And then, like I said, I have Marquette losing to Michigan State. I think I have Kansas State and Duke meeting in the Elite 8 of this region. So I think that's going to, this is kind of the region I have a lot of upsets. So I think that's what I see happening. But to answer your question, I think the front court defense is going to be something where they could have potentially the advantage, and they could definitely lose to Purdue. Like, let's not, I don't want to just wear my blue shake glasses and, totally block out the kid. Purdue's earned this #1 seed. They're a very, very good team. Zach Edey's National Player of the Year. So they could definitely get it done. But I just think they're the best matchup in this region for Purdue.
Yeah. Yeah. And Purdue has beaten Duke this year. Obviously, Duke is playing
That was a
better.
tough game.
There was in a span of 2 weeks in November, they beat Marquette, West Virginia, Gonzaga, Duke.
Great resume. Great resume.
That's kind of what you need to be able to do, string wins together like that in a short amount of time. And Edey, like you said, has been the National Player of the Year. They run everything through him. They get to the line. They out-rebound teams by 11. It's just absurd. Absurd.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just vicious. And hold on, let me pull up this stat.
And they scheme very well. Like, they know you have to double. Like,
so listen
even
to
with
this.
Derek Lively, Derek Lively's not going to be able to guard him one-on-one.
But that's why I like Filipowski 7-footer coming for the double. You have two 7-footers sandwiching him.
Right.
That's the only reason.
They scheme for that, and they're elite at it. And Edey passes out of it, and they're really good against it.
So let me give you this stat. Edey and Michigan State's Chris Webber are the only two Big Ten players in the last 30 years to record 600 points, 350 rebounds, and 50 block shots in a season. Here's the best part. Edey is within reach of becoming the first player since Navy's David Robinson in 1986 to amass 750 points, 450 rebounds, and 50 blocks. So he's the second player in Big Ten history since 1964, the first since 1964 to lead the league in scoring, rebounding, and field goal percentage. So he is having an all-time dominant year, and it's going to be great to see. Overall, I'm really excited. So let's talk about a more big picture view here.
All right.
Let's hear your Final Four and your champion.
All right. I'm pretty much just doing this off the rip.
I'm pulling up my bracket real quick just so I can.
I've only filled out one.
As have I. Yeah. You want me to go real quick while you? Okay, so I filled my bracket out without the news of Clark on UCLA being out. I was a little. I still am okay about it. I have UCLA all the way in the national championship, so I may have to adjust that. But I have Alabama out of the East, out of the South, Duke out of the East, Texas out of the Midwest, and I have UConn and UCLA in the Elite Eight of the West thing. I actually have TCU beating Gonzaga and facing UCLA in the Sweet 16. But then I have Duke beating UCLA in the national championship. I might have to switch some things around. I'm confident Alabama and Duke, my East and South Final Four representatives, and then I'm pretty confident in Texas. I actually have Miami upsetting Houston in the Sweet 16. We'll see about that. But
Miami, it's a big question mark of if Omir's playing or not.
Right. So let me get your Final Four.
I think I'm gonna go Arizona. I think I'm gonna take them to beat Alabama. They're just a super balanced team. I think I'm gonna go Purdue. I think they're either gonna beat Marquette or Kansas State. If Sasser is healthy, I like Houston to come out of that. If he's not, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Houston. If he's not, I like Miami too.
Okay.
And then in the West, this is the one I'm torn on.
Yeah, I got a lot of different.
UCLA, I just like them. I know Clark, I just do. I like UCLA, and then it's going to either be UConn or Kansas. I really, really want to watch that game in the Sweet 16. I really hope that matchup happens. And then I hope it's going to be one of them versus UCLA. It's going to be one of those three teams, in my opinion. Kansas, UConn, or UCLA. I don't think Gonzaga makes it out. I'd be surprised. They could, but I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'll say the other three. I'll take Purdue, Arizona, and I'll say Houston. I think Sasser's going to play. I think Houston's good. I think those three.
And who you got winning?
Give me Houston.
Okay. H-Town.
Give me Sasser. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that's fair. I like the takes. Yeah, I think that's really, really good. I got a little bit more research to do here and just figure out if I like where my bracket's out. But that's the beauty of this time of year.
Yeah, it is.
And then yeah, so that's gonna kind of wrap up our coverage of the tournament. First year we've done this, so definitely excited about that. And yeah, really, really excited just for the tournament. Best time of year for college basketball fans to get back into the game for people who haven't really been paying attention all year. And also just for the diehards. I mean, this is the best time of year. It's what you watch for. So
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited. I know Connor's really excited as well.
Yep.
And
So as we wrap it up, I know we don't have much time left right here. Give me your number one upset. What's your one upset? You got to pick one in the first round. And we'll see if either of ours can hit.
So I have Furman and Charleston both winning in the first round in that. I'm going to go with Furman. I'm going to take them. That's going to be my upset pick this year.
Furman
Over Virginia.
All right.
What about you?
I'm going to go. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give two because I think I'm going to go Kent State over Indiana.
Okay.
And I'm going to go VCU over St. Mary's. Those are my two.
All right, I like them. I love the picks. I think they're really good. And then we'll see. We'll call you out on Twitter.
Roberts over Duke.
All right. Here we go. I just sneaked that one in there. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up our coverage of the tournament and our preview for there. Definitely check out the description below for all our social media handles. You can see myself and Connor. Feel free to shoot us any questions, answers. We'll answer it on the show. We can do mailbag shows for that. And yeah, thanks, Con, for hopping on. Appreciate it. We look to have you back again. Tomorrow, we're going to be recording the MLB preview. So definitely fans of baseball, keep an eye out for that. We're going to get that recorded soon. But yeah, once again, thanks for joining on. And then thank you guys again for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you back here again next time.